So yeah, first off, I want to thank Kent for letting me come speak here, and Miss Deborah Bruton in the crowd for introducing me to Kent. The Center for Entrepreneurship, and I can never remember the title exactly, but the point of that being is it's an outstanding resource for anyone who's considering starting a small business, and they are so veteran friendly, and they gave me every resource I ever needed to get this ball rolling. So what I want to do is, again, we're the Rock Guns and Accessories. We're located off Yadkin Road, about 1.5 miles outside the gate, on the right there next to Shooting Star Tattoo. This whole thing came about from a suggestion from a friend, and it's amazing how that's just developed into what it is today. And I couldn't have done it without support from this center right here. So once again, thank you for that. Go to the next slide. All right, so just a couple things to tell you the background. The Rock comes from a unit in World War II, the 503rd Regimental Parachute Combat Team. The gentleman on the left and on the right there is my grandfather, Jesse Castillo. His father died when he was a teenager, and he had to provide for his family up through the Depression. So during the Depression, he traveled to the different labor camps, earning what money he could to send back to support the family. Because of his skills as a carpenter, he was sent to Pearl Harbor right around December 8th, 1941. So everyone knows their history, knows what happened there. So he helped rebuild Pearl Harbor as a carpenter. Then he ended up on Midway Island during that event in history with that battle. So he witnessed from that point of view what was going on in the world and where the country was. Based on what he saw, he said, I need to get involved. I need to do something. So he volunteered for the Army and became a paratrooper. Through that, he was a combat engineer, and he was able to participate in 2 combat jumps in the Pacific, one in New Guinea, and then the jump onto Corregidor. And if you get a chance, Google Corregidor Island, 1945. It's a pretty amazing story, and they do about 15 seconds at the Airborne and Special Operations Museum, but it's pretty interesting. They jumped at 500 feet onto an area the size of a football field with high winds, so they were just lucky to survive the landing in the middle of the Japanese-occupied island. That's roughly 2 kilometers long. So, pretty cool story. On his third day, on the island, February 19th, he was shot in the head by a Japanese sniper, and unfortunately, the damage all it did was sever his optic nerve. So he was permanently blinded at that event. With that, he was medevaced home, given VA disability. We can't keep you in the Army anymore, so he went home. He could have easily taken the benefits, gone living off that, and gone on with his life. But his girlfriend that he came home to, he said, you need to go somewhere else. You need to go find another, because all I'm going to do with my life is sit in a rocking chair. She says, well, you better get used to me on your lap, because I'm not letting you just sit there. So what's cool is I inspire her, not only her inspiration, but him. He took what he had and decided to start a business in Los Angeles, a little hot dog stand. And what that led to was, go to the next, he ended up owning a hardware store in Los Angeles, East LA, and became kind of a fixture in the community as running this facility. And from that business, another business grew, and he just really took it and ran with it. And he got into real estate, died, we'll say a millionaire. And just because I like that quote up there, that's all it is. People avoid it. Why? Because it looks like hard work. But if we're willing to do it, here's a man of Mexican descent in the United States living the American dream. So if he can do it, anybody can do it. So I just want to give that background. The name of the store, The Rock, comes from that organization, and it's to pay homage to the commitment and sacrifice of the airborne soldier in World War II. So I just like to bring that into where we come from, what our mandate is, and who we intend to represent in our heritage and our history. Go to the next slide, please. All right, so a little background on the store. We're a Type 7 FFL. No, just don't hit me. Type 2 SOT. What that means is ATF has authorized us to not only sell but manufacture firearms. And the special occupation tax means we could sell and manufacture silencers, machine guns, all the NFA, National Firearms Act items as well. So we can, our motto in the store is, you dream it, we can build it. Okay, next. All right, myself, I retired June last year. Last day of the Army was June 30th, 2017. I spent about 20 years and some change in the Army. Started out as a military intelligence guy, got sick of sitting in an office all day, so I volunteered for Special Forces, and spent the rest of my time in 7th Group primarily, retired out of training group here at Fort Bragg. In the process, I had the idea of starting several different businesses. What guy doesn't? And again, this one just took off on us, so we just decided to jump on that wave and start going as far as we could with it. And again, just a little of my background: deployed all over the world. I did several Afghanistan trips in 7th Group, and that culminated with the prize of going to Central and South America before I got out of 7th Group. Came up here to work in training group. All right, next. All right, so we were officially incorporated in North Carolina in 2017. So one of the lessons I learned in all of this was, if you don't know, ask questions. And a lot of this came about was not knowing what I was doing, going to the website, filling out the paperwork, and they'll either say, hey, you did a great job, you're incorporated, or you need to fix this, and you're done. So learning the processes has been a big deal for me. But yeah, we've been in existence since November. Down on the bottom right there is our building. We moved into that in January and had to gut it, clean it out, redo the floors and the walls and put everything in there. And we actually did our soft opening in March. Our grand opening was in April. So we've been kind of officially open for about a month, just about a month and a half. All right, next. What we did is the idea came up to get into the firearms industry. Again, you can't throw a rock and not hit a gun store here in Fayetteville. So what we did is did some research, talked to some people, and just based on my own personal experience, what are some gaps in the market that we can help kind of improve on. So go to the next one. First thing is littering and. Okay, so I say this, we are not a pawn shop that sells guns. We specialize only in firearms. So with that being said, there's a lot of people, as I was putting this together, said, dude, you're not going to make it. This isn't going to work because it's just a saturated industry. So again, okay, challenge accepted. Okay, next slide, next one. All right, one of our mandates being the customer service. In this industry, in any retail dealing with the public industry, the customer is a priority. So with that being said, we picked people, hired people, developed what we have based on, I don't know more than you. You come in, you know what you want. Let's work together to get to that end state instead of me telling you that's not what you want. Look, here, this one's cheaper, so therefore you're going to win. We're here focused on your experience, the customer. Go to the next one. All right, number 2 is quality. I didn't start this to make quick money. We go to gun shows. Those who have been, you'll see guys with tables covered in guns. We don't know where they got them. We don't know the quality, but they're cheap. That's not the road we wanted to go down. We wanted to make sure everyone walking out of the door of our store had a quality piece of equipment that they could rely on, whether it's competition or to save your life. Next. Freedom of choice. So what that means is basically we're not limited to what we have in the store. We have about 20 different manufacturers, distributors we deal with who can get us, at this point, anything you would want. So if we don't have it there, we can get it for you and we can improve on it. We'll get to that here in a minute. Next. So here's basically how it works, and these are, I call them my favorite customers. Hit the next one. Based on the concept of identifying meeting the customer needs. You can tell I've been in the military for a while by how I use some of these words. But what that means is basically a guy comes in and he tells us his requirements. I want to be able to shoot to 1,000 meters. I want something convenient to carry that in my car or on my person. And I want it to shoot lasers. Okay, we can do that. We can work with you based on those requirements. Next. So we have service providers. I'd like to introduce Mark real quick. I apologize for the delay. He works with me at The Rock. And again, he'll sit down with you or myself and we'll look at your requirements and then we'll build a package based on that. So once that's complete, we'll present it to you. Here's what we found. go compare, see what you might want something different. So by the time we get to the build phase, you know exactly what's going into this thing, and you walk out of the door with exactly what you wanted. One of the observations I've seen in the past is I'll buy a $500 rifle and then spend another $500 replacing what was already there and improving on it. So our goal is to get exactly what you want going out the door. All right, next. So services we offer. Another thing we decided to do with this store is that instead of having to bounce around town to get what you want and need, why don't we put it all under one roof? So with that, I'll go to the next slide. We offer firearm sales. So there's some examples of what we have in stock. We're the only authorized Steyr dealer in town. That's an Austrian company that builds these bullpups and the 5.7 and some precision rifles. The bottom right was actually developed as a long-distance rifle with a retired Marine general who was a famous sniper in his prime. So pretty good stuff. But we could also get you your Smith & Wesson shield or any concealed carry. You know, anything you need, we can get for you. Next slide. We offer NFA items, so we can. We're authorized to, again, acquire and manufacture short-barreled rifles, suppressors. Again, we joke around. We're going to build a artillery piece and, you know, a machine gun here soon. So any NFA items you'd want. Next. We offer full gunsmithing services. So we've actually partnered with Fayetteville Tech here. They have a 2-year associate's gunsmithing program. And they were fortunate enough to kind of introduce us to that program and picking guys from that course. We have fully certified gunsmith on staff 5 days a week who can provide repair services, build services. We have the machines there to not only you know, replace broken parts, but we could actually turn barrels, mill, flute, thread, do whatever you want. So we can manufacture, again, exactly what you're looking for from raw pieces if we want to. Next. Accessories. On the left here, we're a can concealment dealer. What that is, it's a women-specific concealed carry items that work really effectively, and you're not having to deal with, you know, a holster off the shelf that a dude would carry and try to manage that. Again, they're specific to that. So we have sizing charts, and you can do that. You can make it work for you. We also sell, you know, accessories, different charging handles, lights, lasers, you name it, foregrips, ammunition, and of course the Black Rifle coffee. Fully stocked with that. Next. And we also offer free coffee when you come in to look around and hang out. We do custom kydex, and what that is any pistol, knife, axe, screwdriver, coffee thermos, you name it, we can build a holster or a way to carry it. And that's all done in-house. Everything so far you've seen is all done in-house. So a lot of guys have a hard time finding a specific pistol with a specific, say, light on it. We could just build that for you right there. Usually same day based on our demand, what we have going on. And then any color you want. You see the purple down at the bottom. We can do multicam. We can do patterns. And we could also, go to the next slide, laser engrave it as well. So we have a laser engraver. So if you want to personalize something, retirement, going away present, your own personal pistol, anything metal we can engrave. So I meant to do my belt buckle before this, but I didn't get a chance to get around to it. But also your Yeti cups, your stainless steel cups, we could put any image on it. So if any image you get to us, we could transfer over and have the laser engrave it for you. So we're really excited about that because, again, take it, make it exactly your own, whatever you want it to be. And what's hard to see in there is we also do texturing with the laser as well. So if you want to improve your grip on things, we can do that as well. And we do weapon stippling as well. Next. Here's an example of, again, another one of my favorite customers we've had. This gentleman came in with his dad's 1911. His dad passed away earlier this year. And ever since his dad passed, he's been carrying that pistol on his body. He came to us and said, you know, I'd love to do something special for this pistol for my dad. So we ended up engraving his dad's name, his life here, and his rank in the Marine Corps, and finished it out for him. So it was really meaningful to him. And that meant the world to me to be able to provide that service. And it was one day. He brought it in. The next day it was done. Handed it off to him. So he didn't have to wait 2 months to send it out to get it done. It's all done right there in-house. Next. All right. And we do custom builds. These are some AR-15s that we built. Pretty familiar platform. But examples being, we have a deal with a company out of Idaho that does custom foregrips. So if you want to put your first name, last name, that one's our We the People build. Pretty cool stuff. It's still a free-floating barrel, and you can still attach your lights and your optics and everything else to those rails as well. Here's an example of the custom Cerakoting we're going to be doing. We're about a week out from having Cerakote capabilities up and running, and all of these were built from the ground up. They weren't. This one right here was a lightweight we built for a raffle to raise money for the Green Beret Foundation. That weighed in just under 4 pounds. Fully functioning AR-15. Thing's awesome. A lot of carbon fiber and lithium aluminum lightweight technology. So again, you dream it, we can build it. Go to the next slide. And here's what really gets me excited is AR-15s. That's pretty basic. And I don't mean that in a derogatory term, but we can also build you a bolt action gun. So all three of these were built from the ground up. It's hard to see, but here we have a Proof Research, which is a carbon fiber wrap barrel, and we actually got the raw piece and had to thread it and put it into the receiver and do all that work, and all that was done by our gunsmith in-house, as well as threading and putting on the suppressor on this thing. So that rifle right there shoots a round called the .338 Lapua, which is pretty big round. And a rifle that size would normally weigh in about 15 to 20 pounds, pretty heavy. We have that one down to about 8 pounds. So ultra lightweight, pretty cool. So we're excited about that one. And it's at the store if you guys want to come by, check it out. It's kind of like, the picture doesn't do it justice. And along with these bolt action rifles you see here, this one's in 6.5 Creedmoor, that's 300 Win Mag. And again, you see the variety you have, but we can also build a standard bolt action gun that looks like any others, but it can shoot sub-minute of angle at 500 yards. Next. All right, so getting into our capabilities, here's what I've done to analyze our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, thank you. So starting, we're going to work our way through this. What are our strengths? To me, customer service, customer experience being a big one. We didn't want to set up a hole in the wall that's just shoved full of everything we could possibly find just to get you in the door to spend money and get out. We want you to come in, relax, hang out with us. If you come in and talk for 30 minutes and just want to hang out and talk about the weather or the news or the latest developments, that's cool, man. Have a coffee, we'll sit down at the table. And so I really encourage you to come in and see it. Again, what's cool to me is with the 503rd Heritage, we got guys coming in here says, hey, I was in the 503rd in Italy. And they'll come in and just like want to hang out and tell war stories for the afternoon, which is great, man. To me, it's about the relationships, the community. That's the reason I wanted to start this retail customer service business in the first place. Next, range of services. Like I said, I went through all the services we offer under one roof, and that was important to me. So I may have the pistol that I love. I just want to improve on it a little bit. Absolutely, we could take care of that. So we're not trying to sell you the full package out the door. Next. Location. I'm really pleased that we came into the building we came into. It's really, for those who, I don't want to question people's beliefs, but really God was part of that, because we had another location identified, but I've been at three different locations. The first one, there was a fire that burned the place down. Then I had to move to this other location that was under construction, and it was supposed to be finished July last year. It's still under construction. So if I'd waited for that to be complete, I'd still be waiting to open the store. But what that turned into was I had an agreement in the lease. If it wasn't done by a certain date, we walk away free and clear. And I just stumbled upon this building, which ended up being 3 times the size of what I originally planned on moving into, giving us the capability to set up the shop that we currently have. And let me just take a side note. One of the other things, a blessing from God, man, is the people that we have. That was the most important thing. Because again, as a customer, I go into a place, what do I remember? I don't really remember the color of the floor and the patterns. I remember the interactions I had with the people there. And I think that's the most important thing. But as with the location, we're convenient to Fort Bragg. We're in the middle of Fayetteville, right off Yadkin Road. Everyone's familiar with that thoroughfare. So it's easy to identify where we are. You're not driving 20 minutes out of town into the woods hoping you find the right location. All right, next. Again, another strength I believe we have is the services we offer. Full range of services under one roof with the fully certified gunsmith. Next. Okay, some weaknesses we have. Public awareness. We just opened 2 months ago. And every day someone would walk in and say, I saw the sign, just happened to see the sign, I had no idea you guys were there. But this is pretty cool. I might, give you guys a second chance. So it's been, the challenge on approaching social media and just getting the word out. One of my favorites is we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and it'll tell me, hey, you just put an ad up and it's super cool showing one of the guns you have in stock or suppressors. You should boost this ad. So I say, okay, Facebook, I'll boost this ad. As soon as I hit that, an hour later it says it's been rejected because Facebook policy doesn't allow anything that might lead to the sale of a firearm. So the next day they'll say, hey, you should really boost this ad. So it's funny to get in these loops. So there's limits on what we can do at this point. I understand that. We're always looking at ways to work around that. Next. Funding. We're small business. I'm a retired E7, did 20 years. And I'm not coming from a family nor am I friends with a bunch of millionaires who can just throw money at us. So with that being said, we started small. We're still small. We're going to be small for a while. So we just have to be smart with our money. And we can't keep up with some of the other people out there just based on the budget we're working with. I understand that. So once again, it's important that we play to our strengths. Next. Operational time. What I mean by that is we just opened. We have a group of employees. We're still building the team. So one of the things, as all the Army guys have seen in the past, is communication being a big one. Oh, I didn't know you did that. Yeah, I did. So we're just developing systems in place to make sure that it's a smooth operating facility. We got outstanding people who are all work together well. We're just learning as we go on some of these small details. So it's pretty much invisible to the outside to the customer, but again, we just need to work, and we're finding ways to improve our efficiency every day. Next. Zoning. Okay, so as far as I put that in there, because if we wanted to open a manufacturing facility with CNC machines and everything else, one thing to consider when putting something like this together is the city will say, is that lot zoned for that activity? So if it's not, you better go find another place. So considering the long term, we need to put that into consideration as where we pick our location, should we have to move or want to move into something bigger. So that's just, I consider that a weakness only in that it's an operational constraint that I have to be ready for. Next. And again, as far as capabilities, what I mean is size. We have a limited number of staff. I can't pay 100 people and buy 100 machines. So demand, as it picks up, that slows down some of the delivery times. So understanding that, being transparent with the customer on that, I think is the most important thing we can do to mitigate that capability. One thing that I did with this business is I front-loaded pretty decent sized staff. We have 9 people working for me. A lot of people kind of balked at that idea because that's a pretty big payroll. However, if I had started just by myself and one other person, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with the demand we already have. So I've seen a lot of small businesses struggle because they can't move outside of that 2 to 3 people, and that limits their growth. And it becomes, difficult. So fortunately, I have outstanding people who could run the store, and I could focus on the big picture and start planning ahead. One of the things we ran into is the advantage of me hiring this number of people and training them up before we opened is the day we opened, on our soft opening, we were open for 2 hours, and I got on a plane and went to New Zealand for 2 weeks. So I'm no stranger to taking risks. But there was a big lesson in everyone coming together as a team, working together, and me putting that faith in my people to meet those needs. So with that, our capabilities as they grow, we're going to need to grow. We understand that. Okay, kind of got on a sidetrack there. Next. All right, as far as opportunities are concerned, government contracts, that's kind of the name of the game for a lot of companies in Fayetteville, small businesses, especially dealing in the industry we're dealing with. We have some events that we're going to attend hosted by the military that could possibly lead into working with the government. That's not going to be our main focus because I want to focus on everyone else in Fayetteville. But, you know, there's opportunities in making those agreements and working with them so we can grow. And if I could work with, you know, the Fayetteville SWAT team, that'd be amazing, just to help improve what they have and, you know, do repairs and work for them. I'd be happy with that. I'm not trying to take over 80-second contracts. You know, there's enough companies out there that support that stuff. All right, next. All right, partnerships. So click like once or twice. Examples here. The Gunpowder Gals, Candy Sugarman, she's here, and she runs an organization. It's all women's shooting organization, and they do classes and meetings, and it's a really amazing program because, you know, one of the most underserved markets across the country is women getting into firearms, and a lot of times a young lady coming into, say, our store or any store doesn't want a big dude going, "Hey, what do you want? You know, can I help you?" So, you know, we try to partner with groups that can help ease that transition and just get that comfort, because a lot of fear comes from unfamiliarity. And I think the most important thing we can do as in this industry is remove that lack of awareness, you know, that unfamiliarity. And because, again, once you're aware of it, a lot of the fear goes away. I put Black Rifle Coffee. We met the CEO of that company a couple weeks ago. So we're looking at helping next time they're in town, bringing them by, hang out with them, just to increase our awareness of who we are, but also support with them veterans causes. They do a lot with organizations like the Green Beret Foundation and Task Force Dagger and some of the other nonprofits that raise money for wounded warriors and their families. Next. And finally, manufacturers. We've been fortunate enough to have several manufacturers here in North Carolina approach us because of our capability to help them with putting serial numbers on the components they make, put their logo on components they make. Because of our capabilities, we're able to do that. So it's convenient for them because we're local. They don't have to send it 2 states away and wait for the return. So just looking to partner with them, not trying to move into that and build our own whatever and put our name all over everything. It's just to support these manufacturers. What's important to me with these partnerships isn't to try to own what Candy's doing with Gunpowder Gals or Delphi Tactical and Rayford and take over what they're doing. They make great products. They're good companies. What can I do to support them is how I see it. So I just wanted a platform for small, local, growing businesses. Insurgent Tactical is another special forces business that if I can support him by selling his products, bringing awareness of his products to the market, that's amazing. That's my intent with these partnerships, not to just take over the whole world. All right, next. And expansion. That's there because we've noticed some pretty good growth pretty early on. Of course, we're still in that initial phase, riding that wave every day, trying to keep my head above water. But with that being said, everyone so far has seen the potential of where we're going with this thing. And it's been a lot of positive feedback and things moving in a positive direction. I'll get questions here in a minute. Is that okay? Okay, right now, what you got? Oh, looks like you're raising your hand. Okay. All right, next. All right, and finally, threats. Obviously, there's competitors out there. There's guys who are aware of what we're doing now. And, again, that's, you know, threatens their bottom line. So all I can say about that is we did the Small Business Summit a couple weeks ago, and Randy Moore, he owns a business in Spring Lake, stellar guy, amazing man, retired military. He made the point that stuck with me. There's going to be competition out there. Our job is to raise the bar higher and just do it better. And think Chick-fil-A versus KFC. They're a smaller company, but whose chicken sandwich would you prefer? All right, next. Current future administrations, you can go to the last one too, which leads to new and changing regulations. You know, a lot of firearms manufacturers took a really hard hit when Trump got elected because they were riding, the Hillary wave, and not trying to be political at all, but based on the understanding that restrictions might increase a lot, the firearms industry kind of really grew those years. With that being said, a lot of these companies, in my opinion, again, all of this is the world according to Sam, so take it for what it's worth. But in my opinion, a lot of these guys got in front of their headlights a little bit because they were excited about the growth that they were seeing and didn't plan ahead. So there were several big companies that went out of business or had to go file for bankruptcy based on that demand suddenly plummeting. They call it the Trump slump. Everything was like this, then Trump won the election, and sales went like that. So again, just understanding that everyone in here who watches the news understand that it's very volatile. So I think being aware of that is important, and always finding and investigating ways to prepare for that. To what's the term I'm looking for? Not get locked into one thing. So once that goes away, we're stuck. Okay, next. So here's my vision for the way ahead. Hopefully my guys buy into it too. But again, expansion of capabilities. My intent is to grow over the next 1 to 5 years. And that's going to mean not only with our staff, but also with eventually, I think it's on the next one. Yeah, moving into a larger facility to support what we're doing. That's just going to be a natural progression that, as far as planning is concerned, from my perspective, that's already on the radar. We're starting to investigate what our options are for that. So when the time comes, we're prepared for that. Next. Again, our manufacturing capabilities increased. That just means with some of the areas we're moving into, considering what equipment we would need, what personnel we would need to run it. So just expanding what we can do to support not only the customer, the war fighter, but other organizations we're supporting. Next. All right. Again, always working on our marketing. How can we continue to get the word out on who we are? How do we expand our marketing outreach? How do we get to a broader audience, to make awareness of who we are more well known? Next. Again, building relationships. Events like these are so important. It's important that as the owner of a business that you do network, that you do understand who's out there. It's really dangerous to try to live inside your safe bubble because, again, you can't grow inside of that. So even if it seems like this person has nothing to offer, you'll be surprised. So it's important to just get out and interact. Next. And again, I put building of the brand. Go down. Why we stand out from the crowd. What makes us different, as I said, from every other gun store in town. And finally, go to the next one. Having, not long before my last few years in the Army, I became an intel guy. And one of the things that's important in an intel brief, something like this, is the so what. The commander's going to say, okay, you gave me all these cool pictures. Why is that important? So it's important. My mandate is to continue to work as to make people understand, yeah, you're different, but who cares? Well, here's why it matters. And so again, working on developing that narrative more in depth. Again, primarily we're different because we're going to put the customer first. And that sounds kind of strange to say, but having lived in Fayetteville for the last 14 years, having had my experience in some of these local establishments that sell firearms, I think we could do better. Next. So pressing issues that we see here with our business. Like I said, visibility is being a big one. Every day people will say, I've never heard of you guys. Well, yeah, we're brand new. So how do I continue to increase that brand, that visibility, and continue to increase awareness of who we are and what our capabilities are? I think that's important. Next. So marketing, just keep going. We have a logo that was designed by a local tattoo artist. I'm really proud of it. It looks great, but I think, again, just start working on spreading that out a little bit so we have our image on a lower receiver we make, or stickers, things like that. So again, just to improve that outreach and that visibility. Next. Of course, advertising. We have our Facebook, our Instagram. We have radio ads on Rock 103, and we also have Pulse Marketing, I think they're called. They do little screens in the gymnasiums and at the mall, so we have ads on that as well. So that's about my limit right now is in regards to advertising with our budget. But over time, how can we improve on that and try to reach a broader audience? And also, we've been going to gun shows. We just got back from the Ink and Arms Tattoo Convention in Wilmington, which we did really well. And that was it's crazy. It's a tattoo convention / gun show, so it's all in one place. So those two markets tend to really agree well with each other. And we learned that at the All-American Tattoo Convention. We attended that, and that was a big shot in the arm for us because we were the only gun anything at that event. Next, outreach. This will get into the next bullet as well, but reaching out to the community. What can we do to not only improve our organization, but the surrounding community? Next. And again, endorsement. We need to prove who we are to the right people, obviously. But again, this is endorsements always help coming from other, respected names in the industry. So we're working with a couple competitive shooters who we could put their logo on their shirt. They could say, these are my gunsmith people. These are my guys who built this rifle. And I just won this competition, so that, things like that can help increase our visibility and make people understand who we are. Next. All right, and events to support the community. One of my main mandates wasn't just to start this so people could see how awesome I am. That just comes naturally. But really, how does this turn around to support Fayetteville, North Carolina? And one of the talks I had with somebody is, how do we support Fayetteville identifying who Fayetteville is? What's Fayetteville's identity? And how can we play into that, improve it, add to it? So again, I think with the image we're trying to build supports the local business mentality. We're here for the hometown guys and gals. And again, we want to help the community grow. So how can we support that? And that goes into locations of when we expand. Should we try to make other changes to our model? How can that, again, make Fayetteville a destination, not a city along 95? Does that make sense? So I think that's really important for this whole community. And how can I support that? So here's some ideas: shooting events. I have a lot to learn from people like Candy over here with her Gunpowder Gals events, and how to set those up, and the dynamics involved with that. That's new to me, but that's something I can learn. Next. Fundraising events. We've done several fundraisers already to raise money for wounded warriors, but there's other things out there, and again, it's important that everything we do, we find a way to give back, because we wouldn't be here without the community. We support each other. Next. And again, events to raise awareness. How can we contribute to not only the retail side of things, but just improving people's awareness? So we remove the stigma attached to the two letters AR, right? And we help just remove the stigma attached to guns. So I've had people in other parts of the country hear the word gun and they take off running the other way as soon as they hear I'm involved in that. So, or they look at you like I did something evil. But again, it's an industry that's important because we can offer so much to not only improve your personal safety, but just, again, it's a great sport, three-gunning. Next. And again, the community outreach. I've spoken with someone after one of these 1 million cups, and some cool ideas came up. Not only setting up an event where people can learn about firearm safety, but how can we go to certain neighborhoods and set up and say, hey, check it out. We have some examples here. Here's what you're looking at. Here's how to treat them safely. And, just on our end, almost like a church, going out to the public and talking to people, how can we do the same thing? So I'll go to, whether it's a high school or a local community center, how can we go there and just get people, increase their awareness, not only of what they are, but the safety and other issues that we can all improve on as a community. So those are some of the things I want to continue. I want to start developing and working on those plans. And part of my being here is asking for support and ideas with those issues right there. And should be me saying thank you very much for your time. This is where we ask questions, or because I'll take off running right now if you let me. Go ahead.
I go with Sam. Great presentation. Great presentation. I've seen and helped launch quite a few businesses over 20 years and haven't seen anything quite like what you got going on. My question, of course, where businesses often fail, it's a lack of revenue.
Right.
That's the number one reason why businesses fail. They fail to generate sales,
Right.
To cover their expenses. That's, of course, ameliorated with proper business planning. What kind of resources are you using, particularly with that slide you had called the way ahead, where you identified a couple of short and long-term goals? What kind of actions have you taken to strategize short, long-term goals as part of a formal business strategy, business plan?
So if you go to SBA.gov, they actually have Business Plan Builder, and it's really cool. It's it works perfectly for a military guy like me. I need structure, and you fill in the blanks as you go, and then it develops that picture. And one of them is the financials. So it gives you a resource to put the numbers you have, and it also has links to how to do projections. So that was a big one for us. For me, was using that software. Then I have a Quicken account, and really just asking people like you who are smarter than me on it to really paint that picture. And again, it took planning way ahead for upcoming events, and we're still learning as we go. So did that answer your question? So yeah, there's software programs out there. There's another one I haven't had a chance to look at, but at least once a week I sit down and look at all of our money ins and outs and where it's going, and we're just always trying to tighten that shot group.
That's not even so much the money, but just business planning in general, like client sourcing and marketing and branding.
Oh yeah, so two things with that was that SBA guide. That was worth its weight in gold, because again, you fill it out, you fill out the blanks, it gives you tips and tricks and guidance on how to fill out these blanks, and then when you hit generate, I'll be right with you, okay? It'll print out a Word document, so now you can read it from front to back. Here's a business plan presented, and then you can go in and start filling in the blanks that you may have missed, and take it to someone who's like Kent, and he'll review it for you. And again, this organization here at Fayetteville Tech is so amazing. And he reviewed it and said, this is good, what the heck were you thinking? All right, get out of my office, come back when this is fixed, and then we go make those fixes. But again, I call it applying the principles of patrolling to business. Everything we learned in the military, all Army guys, that applies. Planning, reconnaissance, security, control, and common sense. So understanding those dynamics just applied to everyday life, man, and it works. So for me, the big part was the planning. And a lot of this seems to have happened really rapidly, and it did once we were out the gate. I can't get over how much we've grown so quickly. However, with that, doing a lot of the research on the back end helped make us successful. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Stacy from Fleetway Household Fix Catering. So I actually know Candy. That's my apple scrapple. So I actually have a suggestion for you as far as to change the conversation about guns. People are very apprehensive when it comes to guns.
Yep.
So I think if you change the conversation and made it about safety and education,
right,
you get more people in and more people interested and more people wanting to learn more. Because I know a lot of people who are not interested in guns because of what is portrayed in the media. It is a fearful thing, and especially the climate of what's going on in the country. I think you really should concentrate on education and concentrate on safety. That should be your forefront, and then build from there.
Awesome, thank you. So again, we got to redo our flyers. I had a guy pulling out of a helicopter shooting a gun, gun safety. But no, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
A suggestion to elevate your image and introduce your name to the general public is to be part of patriotic military events that are happening in town. And one that's coming up is the Purple Heart Dinner that is in August.
Okay.
It'll be the second annual one. And
that's amazing.
Lots of business leaders are going to be there, military associated people. So I will give you the information. It's one of the things that we at Up and Coming Weekly are behind.
That'd be awesome. I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Cedric Minor with the Warrior Transition Battalion,
yes, sir.
Transition Coordinator. And we have soldiers that come to the WTB that end up on a pretty short timeline sometimes in reference to their transition from the military. Of course, some stay in the military, but some are transitioning from the military. Can you talk a little bit about your planning and how long it took you to plan and get to the point to where you really, where you opened up your doors in a sense? Was it years? Was it months? You know, and the effort that you had to put into it in that amount of time to get to the point to where you opened your doors and started your business?
That's an awesome question. I'm almost afraid to answer it. I don't want to get anyone in trouble, including myself. So what someone told me as I was getting ready to retire, I knew I was going to get out. I knew I wanted to call it quits. I wanted to hang out with my family here in North Carolina. So about a year out, I started looking into what my options were. And I've actually started 2 other corporations in that time period. So I retired in 2017. Late 2015, I started getting involved with other companies that are out there that they do originally what I planned on doing, medical training. And you can't throw a rock outside of the gate of Fort Bragg and not find a business that will be involved with what you're interested in. So it's, again, about a year out, just reaching out to these organizations and these people and finding out what's out there, just get my awareness. With that, I was able to kind of have a picture of how these markets looked and what the opportunities were. About 6 months out, I think it was, I attended the transition brief, and it was a week-long event, and a really useful tool. But I recommend, if you haven't done it yet, take the entrepreneur route, because there's a lot of good resources available there. They'll even bring you here and just give you some websites and links. And please take a business card, because I know I'm going to miss something, and send me an email if there's any other questions. So about a year out, I really started diving into what my options and opportunities were. This thing right here, this store, came about around July last year. And a friend of mine said, hey, you should try this. And from there, it's kind of a blur. Like, they asked me how I got here. I said, I really don't know. It's just kind of like someone smacked me in the head, and now I'm standing right here, because it happened so quickly. So with this right here, it seems like a really constrained rush timeline, but it's just all the opportunities were right where they needed to be.
I hate to double up on that.
Not at all.
But did you have, in your plan, did you have a fallback? In
Yes.
reference to, can you talk a little bit about it?
As far as like what's, pace plan, like what
Exactly.
If this fails,
business doesn't, if I can't get to the point to where you are now,
yep.
What is my fallback? What are my other options?
Right. So if there's a town in southern Texas called Sanderson. It's got a population of about 10 people right near the Mexican border. My fallback was just to go there and change my name.
See, I want to take the last question if I can.
Let me just finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But really, another thing I did my last year in the Army, I'm glad you brought that up. And let me say this to the military guys in here considering transitioning. I got every certification I could. So quick thing, I'm a high school dropout. I quit school, and then I had no other choice, so I joined the Army to get some skills. So along the way, I didn't take the college. I didn't do any of that stuff. I wasn't smart. I was having too much fun being an Army dude, you know. And with that being said, every opportunity I had, I took my medical training, became a nationally registered paramedic. I took advanced courses to become a certified tactical paramedic. So with that, there's job opportunities for me that I could fall back on should this, had this not worked out the way it did. So absolutely, take care of yourself. Consider those options as well. Don't just focus on one thing. Always have that pace plan, and you won't go wrong. Did that help? Thank you.
And along that lines, let me say, I am very impressed at how you've taken advantage of opportunities from the Small Business Center and Entrepreneurship Center to the Small Business Summit to the SBA resources. It shows. It shows that you've done your homework and you know where you're going. So kudos to you for all the homework you did to get to where you are. Because it's going to make the difference in how successful you are.
Absolutely. It's all about planning.
Yes. Okay, but last question. What can this community do to help you?
I started a GoFundMe page. No. Really, it's just increasing awareness. Come by the store. Tell your friends about it. You know, that's the best I can say. The opportunity with the Purple Heart Dinner, absolutely. I'm interested in events like that. So, and you know, I don't know what I don't know, so I know I'm missing a lot in what I'm doing currently. So, but my big thing is if it's kind of like a BMW 7 Series. I don't have to try to sell that to you. I just need to get you in the driver's seat, and as soon as you take off, you're sold. And that's how I view what we have going on in our store. I just need to get you there, and once you're there, it'll become clear. So I hope that makes sense.
It does. It does.
And that's how I feel. So, and of course, please go to our website, send me an email saying, dude, I like that. Again, what were you thinking? You better get rid of that right now, because, you know, if you don't, I'll get rid of you. You know, whatever you see. But just any feedback, advice, I'm always amenable to.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.